And so the mistake that a lot of business owners make is that they don't hire those people that are actually going to balance out their personalities. Instead, they hire like-minded individuals, and then they start bashing it. Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of the Founder Podcast. Today, as you can see, I am not in my home studio. I am up at my lake house. Actually, let me share this with you a little quick. We're just recording right on the computer. Look at that beautifulness. Absolutely crazy. For those that are joining on YouTube or Spotify, you'll be able to see the visual of that. But anyways, had a cool message I wanted to share with you guys today. Hopefully you pick up a few of the kid background noises. We love sharing good family time up here. But so today I wanted to dive into something that is super imperative to running an incredible organization. The one thing I truly believe is that there's no such thing as perfect individuals. There's only perfect couples, perfect teams, and perfect organizations. And the reason for that is because we all have completely different personalities and what we contribute to society, to our relationships, to whatever it may be. And for some of you guys, you may be familiar with what's called the DISC analysis. There was something that we started implementing in my business that absolutely changed the game. And we started implementing this in mid 2020. So right in the middle of the pandemic, we were, shifting and making changes in our business. And we had a bunch of different kinds of things going on. During that time, I actually held a retreat right here at my lake house here in Priest Lake, Idaho. For any of you guys who have never been to Priest Lake, absolute gem, just north of Coeur d'Alene, about an hour. They call it the crown jewel of Idaho. So we had this remarkable gathering. You probably heard me talk about it with Alex Hormozi. I had Russell Brunson, a handful of other just really cool ballers there. And there was something that was shared with me by Russell Brunson that drastically changed our business, and I want to share that with you. And that was the implementation of the DISC assessment into our hiring process, and then also understanding how to utilize each one of these people. So going back to the philosophy and theory that the fact that there are no such thing as perfect people, right? And I believe that the best way to work with people is not to expect them to change their weaknesses, but understand how to work with their weaknesses and how to work with their strengths. Because expecting somebody to change those weaknesses into strengths is just, I think, contrary to even God's plan, right? Like the God's plan is to emphasize the strengths and see how we can be a pure contributor to society and be able to balance ourselves out. It's pretty remarkable for any of you guys that have ever taken the DISC assessment. So my DISC analysis is a high D, high I. Or in other words, I'm absolutely just crazy, just out there. And so for those that don't know what the DISC assessment is, D stands for dominance, I stands for influence, C stands for conscientiousness, and S stands for steadiness. And so just like some of the characteristics of dominance are that you're direct, results-oriented, firm, strong-willed, forceful. So if you've been listening to my podcast or know me very well, you understand that I definitely have that D personality. And then on top of that, I have a very high I personality, which is outgoing, enthusiastic, optimistic, highly spirited, and lively. Like if those two combinations, boom. But one thing you'll understand about me, I have a lot of weaknesses when it comes to like conscientious, like that I am not very systematic. I am not very patient. I'm not very even tempered, which comes from the steadiness side. I'm not really well organized. If you ever look at my car, it's dirty. Just got a lot of different things. So like the important thing for me as a high D, high I need to find a lot of people that have that C and that S personality so we can shape and become that great couple, great team, great organization. And then as you really begin to dive in this, you understand that the different personalities actually contribute to different leadership characteristics, different positions within the organization. Like, for example, a software developer isn't going to be a high D, high I personality, right? They're not going to be highly influential or dominant. They're going to be conscientious and steady. They're going to be the people that are going to be just there day in, day out. They love just that grind, doing the same thing over and over again. And really understanding that not every single person is going to tick the same way that you tick. one mistake that we make as business owners is that we love to hire people just like ourselves, that, because that type of personality appeals to us, right? I love people that have that I personality, that are outgoing, that have a good time, right? Those are the people I like to associate with, be friends with. And so people that maybe are a little more conscientious or steady, they may appear boring to me. They're not, we're not drawn to each other. And so the mistake that a lot of business owners make is that they don't hire those people that are actually going to balance out their personalities. Instead, they hire like-minded individuals, and then they start bashing. And typically, an entrepreneur or a founder is going to have more of that high D and that high I, because they're the people that are dreaming big and going after big, incredible goals, and breaking through barriers, and creating this vision, this 30,000 square or height view for the rest of the organization. Now, if you hire a bunch of people like that, well, you're going to have a bunch of chiefs and no Indians, and when you do that, then work just doesn't get done, and so. Now, everybody has some of each personality, right? I have some conscientiousness. I also have some steadiness, but those aren't what show up in my score, right? The two high levels. So typically in a disc analysis, you have a high and a low, and then you have something that doesn't show up. My C and S, they don't show up on the scale, but both my D and my I are highly influential. Tony Robbins goes on to talk about how he doesn't hire salespeople that don't have some level of a D personality, some level of dominance. And a lot of times when we hire for sales, we are easily misjudge the character of somebody because they're very influential, right? In the interview, they're outgoing, they're very personable, and so we think, oh, this person's going to make a great salesperson. But the fact is, they don't have the guts to be able to close, or to be able to really get somebody to make a decision, when ultimately is really the number one duty of a salesperson, is to get a decision. Doesn't matter whether that decision is yes or it's no, they get them to a decision. And so just understanding that, like, every single position within your organization is going to require a different type of personality. And if you look at most DISC assessments, I'm going to drop a PDF in the link. I'll send this over to my editors. Hopefully they can put that in there. But there's like 16 different personalities, and it talks about like how they work with each other, and their strengths and their weaknesses, and whatever it may be. So the recommendation or the advice that I got from Russell Brunson while we were doing this gathering up in my lake house was that to use the DISC analysis in every single hire. And so what we started implementing was, before we even gave an interview, we'd have somebody do the DISC analysis. And so once again, if we were hiring for sales, we made sure that they had a D personality before we would ever even conduct an interview. Or if we were hiring for software, we were looking for that S personality. It's really interesting. So once again, I have that high D, high I personality. My wife, I believe, is like a high C, low S, low I, which is like my exact complementary to my personality, which makes us the perfect couple. We are nothing alike. She struggles in decision making and overall vision, and I struggle in like just being conscientious about things that are going on, constantly thinking about others, and how we can make sure that we are helping and waiting on and whatnot. And it's not that like I don't want those things; they just aren't my strengths, and they're her strengths. And so together, the two of us have been able to do some incredible things, because she's always thinking about the details. She's always making sure that our guests are taken care of. We love to host parties at our house. We love to host people up at our lake house. We love to do this, that, and the other. And she's the one that's taking care of the details, and I'm creating the vision. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do this amazing event. We're going to have all these people here, and I'm the life of the party. I'm that high I that's just getting people excited and whatnot. And she's making sure that all the details, everything is like clean and orderly, and the food and everything is perfectly taken care of, and which makes us once again a power couple. And it's interesting. I've developed a variety of different theories around the DISC analysis. One of them is that like 2D personalities should not be married. And because these people are both dominant, they're going to end up butting head. You can have two I's that are married, you two S's, two C's, yeah, no problem. But when you get that 2D personality, you're in a little bit of a recipe for potential failure. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't work out. I just don't think that it is the ideal situation. And so, if you are in a relationship or you're potentially dating something, I would highly recommend doing a disc analysis to really better understand who you are and who the other person is that you're trying to have a relationship, do business with, whatever it is. And it's interesting as I begin to develop these different theories and I focus on my strengths rather than my weaknesses, I don't worry as much. It doesn't cause me as much stress or sadness. I just understand like, hey, these are my weaknesses and I'm gonna outshine my weaknesses with my strengths. It also allows me to really tell somebody exactly how to work with me because I understand what my strength or what my weaknesses are. So typically when I'm first getting into business with somebody or I'm meeting somebody first time, I'll let them know. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I like to dominate the conversation. I'm going to butt in when I have an idea because I get really excited and it's just like things that are going through my mind. That does not mean that I do not respect your opinion. That does not mean that I don't want to hear your opinion. In fact, I need you to fight for whatever your opinion is. And just because I am extremely full of passion and excitement behind my opinion, that does not mean I will not change my mind. And I have to constantly coach people that I work with in leadership that work below me or a new relationship that I'm developing with an outside organization. I have to constantly tell them, like, this is how you deal with it. Please fight for your position, and I will change positions as long as it makes sense to me. But until that point, I'm going to passionately defend where I'm at. And one thing I've found is that as I've given these heads up to people, it becomes way easier for us to work through meetings, work through decision making process, work through anything that we're analyzing in our business because people understand, hey, this is Chris's strengths and this is Chris's weaknesses, and vice versa. I understand what their strengths and weaknesses are, and so and one thing, a few of our best practices is once we had these tests done, we actually had all of our current employees take those as well, so that we better understood how to work with them. And so then whenever I was struggling with somebody, I would pull out whatever their DISC assessment is and see, okay, this is what their strengths are, this is what their weaknesses. Aha. That's where I'm missing. That is why I keep screwing up in this relationship, in this way to work with them. It's because I am not aware of that. This is the way that they like to be talked to, or this is the value that they bring to the organization, and so on and so forth. And so it's real magic once you begin to understand personalities. And once again, it really became awesome because the thing is in an interview, people can lie to you, right? They can appear one way and be completely the other way. If you have them do this type of assessment, now you really understand who they are in their decision-making process. And so no matter how well or how poorly they interview, you can look past that a little bit and say, okay, this is the type of personality, and they actually, mix in with what we are looking for. And then on top of that, you take the interview and so on and so forth. And so that was something that really has helped me in our organization, in team building, in attracting the right talent, in analyzing how to get through these situations, in analyzing myself. And it gives me a very good self introspective of like, okay, who am I? How do I improve? How can I focus on my strengths? How can I let people know that these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses, and so on and so forth? So hopefully that is something that you can take and apply in your relationships, in your business, in your families, because it has really helped me. Until next time.